Hi and welcome. I hope your day is going amazingly well. I myself am having a great day. I have spent lots of time outside, which is my most favorite thing to do these days. And so when I have time to do that, it's a great day. And where I'm at in Indy, it's supposed to be nice actually for a while. I think up into the 80s or so. So I am ready for summer to bring its ass on. And I hope you are enjoying your day wherever you are. Today, I want to talk about why I decided to create my goal setting program that starts in June and why I'm qualified to help you if goal setting is your thing, or if you need help in that area, or if you have goals that you want to meet that you've not been able to, or if you're interested around what would my life be like if I did have specific goals and I did work towards them. So, I first want to point out that I'm not self made in this journey. I've gotten lots of help along the way. I am a coach because I believe in the power of that. I believe 100% that it is the help of God and the people around me and who I choose to put in my inner circle and who I choose to pay and invest my time into to help me elevate my mind. However, I wasn't raised with this information. I feel like most of us are not. So I connect with people for sure who are first generation in a lot of different things. I have a long list of things that I'm first generation in, meaning I was the first in my family to do it, to accomplish that, to see things this way, by way of my parenting skills and how I choose to parent, my parenting style, going and completing college, breastfeeding, even. So there are lots of different things that I have tried in my life that I've decided are my thing without having the people around me to look up to or without having a blueprint of what that looks like. So that in itself is super powerful because I had to make a conscious decision that what I saw around me wasn't going to be my picture. And if you think about that, like really take time to think about it, you have to have some kind of thought power to be able to notice that, oh, this is happening and I don't agree with it. It doesn't sit well with me. And I know many women who are the same way. So those little things we tend to kind of skip over when we think about our accomplishments, and it starts there, having the awareness to know that I'm seeing things a certain way. I've experienced things a certain way. I'm grateful for, my caregivers and those before me doing the best they could, but I want to create a different story. So really give yourself kudos on that if that's you. And 9 times out of 10, it is. You've seen things, but you've decided something else is better for you. So I want to start from there, and also shedding light on the difference it is when you're not raised in a certain environment, or when you're not raised with certain thought tools or certain beliefs, and having to create that yourself as an adult. The shit is not easy at all. So I definitely want to give power to that. I want to take a moment and just commend you, because if you're listening to this podcast, I know that that's you. And that's not always easy. I am always fighting my primitive brain and my conditioned mind to think differently, to act differently, especially how I show up as a woman, as a coworker, as a parent, and as a partner. 100% is a constant battle because I have to choose to go against my deep rooted belief systems and at the same time work through those for my own inner child healing and try to change those beliefs to where what I'm doing now is my new belief system. Like that's a whole thing. You may even have to rewind that to see how intricate it is when we are actually changing our belief system. And I know that's what you're doing. And I just want you to take a moment and just commend yourself. Like you are doing the work. Sometimes the work doesn't look so good, but still you're doing the work. So let's jump in. When I decided that I wanted to create a goal setting program, it was because it's not that people aren't out here with goals or people aren't wanting better for themselves, that there's not women I know who want so much more, because every day, all day, I'm running into that. We all have such beautiful creative minds. So that's not the problem, but it's more so that we don't understand our power in actually reaching the things that we want. We don't understand the power in our current thoughts and how they can be holding us back. And we also don't understand the power in needing and wanting to change, but not really processing that our where we are now is comfortable and that's okay with us. Like, even if someone's in a horrible situation or they really don't like what they're getting in a certain avenue, whatever, certain field or career, or their life, or what's showing up in their relationships, how they're eating, all of that, comfortable is sometimes better than jumping out and doing something new and being uncomfortable. So a lot of times it's the discomfort of changing that holds us back. So when I'm talking to women all the time, I'm discovering that it's not that they don't want more, they just don't know how to get it. And when if they did know how to get it, then they get caught and get stuck with the mind and our brains holding us back, trying to keep us safe. So I wanted to create this program to shed light on those things that do come up, to help women understand that no goal is too big or too small, and that it's not necessarily you that's the problem. It's the way the brain works. But we have to do the work in our higher selves to reach those goals. And this is why you have goals, you know, you want to reach them. You may even have a blueprint of how to reach them, and you don't. You continue to fall back. You continue to lack in that area or give up, whatever it might be. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just not being aware of what's really going on. And what better way for me than to create this program to help women come together and not only get support from myself, but get support from each other. Very much in an intimate setting, and we all can learn from each other. And I also realized that since I was 12 years old, I have been creating and reaching goals, even if I wasn't able to put the words around it of what I was doing. And those are just like tangible things I can think of since I was 12. But even before then, I have always been a person to take initiative, to see a problem around me and be able to be creative and figure out how to solve that, and typically for other people. And so here I am doing the same thing. I remember when I was 7 or 8, maybe, and I was at my grandma's house, and my mom, they shared this story with me. I kind of remember vaguely, but not as much, but my grandma has shared it with me, actually. That I think my mom maybe had a late night at work. I'm not sure, but I took the initiative and was like, I'm going to get us to school. I'm going to get us all ready. At the time, I had two younger brothers. I'm not sure. I doubt my little sister. She was too young. So it probably was just my two younger brothers who were a couple years behind me. I was going to get us ready, get us out the door, walk us to school so that my mom didn't have to. Well, if you're in Indy, you will know what I mean when I say that we lived off of 46th and Shadeland. So then you know how busy 46th and Arlington, not Shadeland. 46th and Arlington. So think of Arlington between 38th and 46th. That was a street that we walked down, and we had to cross over Arlington to get to our school. I think it was like IPS 92 or something like that. And I had never walked anywhere like that myself, but I wanted to help my mom rest. I wanted to be helpful, and I saw a problem. She was tired, and I solved it. I got us ready. I wrote a note to let my mom know what was happening, and we jetted out. I do kind of remember my mom either driving or something to where we were, now that I'm talking about it. That's funny. And of course, worried sick, like, hold on, you're crossing these busy ass streets alone. But I say that to say that since I was as young as I can remember, I have had a knack for helping people solve their problems and using the skill I have to do so. Fast forward to 12, I had a goal to buy this car. Like, I was told, hey, if you save $600, you can have this car. I'm 12 years old, y'all. Like, looking back, of course, that was silly. Nobody was giving me a car, but I thought they were. I cleaned houses all summer with my grandma to make that money. And heartbreakingly enough, I didn't get the car, obviously. But what it taught me was I can create a goal and I can reach it if I want to. And there's so many things that have happened between. I was pregnant at 15. I remember working at McDonald's and not wanting to tell my mom about it. And I had no idea how I was going to make this work, but I knew that I was going to finish high school and that me having a child was not going to get in the way of me reaching my goals. So I finished high school. Thankfully, I had such an amazing support system. I didn't do this alone, but I could have made the decision to not be a mom, to be a teen only. I could have made the decision to give up on school, to give up on college, all of that. I have been a nurse now 10 years, and I've had kids the entire time. And from then and now, like, there has been so much that's happened where I had to make a decision. And not only did I have to make a decision, I had to execute on that decision. And I realized that that is where my power is. Many of us know what we want. We may even know how to get there, but it doesn't matter if we're not taking the strides to actually meet the goal. It sounds really good. It feels even amazing, right? To do research, to talk to people, to make a plan, to, think ahead. But nothing is actually coming from that until you make the decision to jump out. And that is where my power is in the goal setting arena, is that yes, we can come together, create goals. Why are they your goals? What's important about that for you? Why do you want that so much? The goal behind the goal, right? We can even decide how we're going to do it. We can make all of these plans in our heads, but until we've actually executed, none of that really matters. It is just taking up space. So there's a time and place for everything. So this program was created so that I can help you create that goal, identify why it's important, talk about how you're going to meet that goal, but even more importantly, what steps are we taking? What's happening? And when we meet every week, why didn't you take that step? What was going on in your mind? What feelings and emotions were you going through? What thoughts did you have to make you feel that you couldn't do it, that you shouldn't do it, that it's not the right time? And this, my friend, is the power of coaching, because we're not going to challenge ourselves in the same way as someone else is. We can learn how to self coach 100%, but it is my firm belief that we need people to get ahead in one way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'm really excited for those who have decided to invest in themselves, because they don't want to just be stuck in the research and the planning and the decision of a goal. They want to move forward in execution. And I want to say here that you'll find when you start creating goals, especially scary ass goals that you have no fucking idea how you're going to reach them, it is less about reaching that goal and more about the person you become while moving towards that goal. Because I can tell you, if you tell me a goal, I can tell you exactly how to do it. Or if it's something I did, oh yeah, I did that. This is how I did it. Follow my plan. You'll be good. Nobody can tell you if that's going to happen, and nobody can even tell you how you're going to get there. You can't tell you. I can't tell you. I can't tell me. You don't know anything until after it's happened. And if you listen to people who have created goals and met them, myself included, in the goals that I've created and I've met, I would have never guessed that they happened the way that I thought they would prior to. So it's less about those other things and more, what action are you taking? A thought that came to mind earlier when I was thinking about recording this was, it is less about the goal and decision and more about the action. Meaning it doesn't really matter what you say you want, what you want to do, how you're going to get there, the decisions you've made on that. And it's more about the execution. I can decide that I want to have this group program and it never come to fruition if I didn't just get started. And I wasn't ready when I did it. I just did it. That's how it goes. Same with this podcast. I played around with it for several years. I had a on my voice recording app, y'all. I have like 2 to 3 years of content of me playing around. Well, what would it be like if I podcasted? How would I sound? What would I say? And every night when I got off work, every morning when I got off work, I would hit record and I would just talk on my way home. That's awesome. Great. But that did nothing for me until I actually decided to create a platform, to come up with a name, to post that shit on the platforms, to send this to you. That is where the power is. I'm not saying that all of the planning and all of the things I had up until then did not play a role in that, but to reach your goal is the execution. So that's what this group is going to be about: executing, finding out what it is we want to do, why we want to do it, making a plan, but really and most importantly, what actions are we going to take, and actually taking them and being coached when you don't take them, or when fear sets in, confusion, you don't have the confidence, you're unsure, you're uncertain. How do I do something when I'm not sure if that's the right decision? Like this topic of what's right and what's wrong, totally going to be explored. And really learning the power of, you can do whatever it is you want. You can have whatever you want. You can have amazing plans. You can have so much value to give to people. Yet and still, you will die with that if you don't take execution. So the execution part is the hardest part, and it's where people end up giving up and or deciding it's not for them and or changing to something else because we love to stay in the circle, in the cycle. Our brain, I should say, loves to stay confused, because if you're confused, you don't have to take action. We love to need to prep. We love to need to research, because if I need to do that, I don't actually have to put myself out there, or I don't actually have to sit with those negative emotions when I decide that, I'm going to not eat ice cream before I go to bed, and I've been doing it for 5 years. That discomfort that happens in that moment, nobody wants to deal with that shit, right? So it's easy to stay in research phase and planning phase and all of that. But in this program, you get to decide what it is you want, and you get to actually learn what it takes to execute and what gets in the way of you personally executing, because that's going to look different from other people. And lastly, the beauty in group coaching is that I don't care what your goal is. I don't care if it seems completely unrelated to the next person. When you watch other people get coached, there is power in that. So much power, because you're going to see something. I'm going to say something. They're going to say something that attunes to your heart, that your intuition grasp on, and that you needed to hear, and you didn't even know that you needed to hear. I love watching people get coached. I am a coach, so of course I have my own coach. I actually have several, and I ensure that I'm coached every single week. I self-coach. I do all the things because I know the power. I know it personally. I am not the same person I am now than when I first started getting coached and I first started like creating these goals that I never thought was possible. And so I really think it's extremely important to watch who you surround yourself around, who you surround yourself with, and decide on purpose the life you want to live intentionally, the things you want to do day to day, how you want to show up as a mom, how do you want to show up at work, how do you want to show up in stressful situations. That is so important. And the beauty in it is that you get to decide that. You get to decide and you get to execute. So there is no doubt in my mind that the 5 women who join me on this journey, lives will be changed forever. And I'm super excited. And I thank you for listening. And if this is you, go ahead and email me, regina@momswhoachieve.com. You can also DM me on Instagram and Facebook, Moms Who Achieve. I can't wait to hear from you. I'm excited to get started. Y'all be blessed.